And it's showtime, Richie. Welcome back.
Good to be back.
Wednesday night.
Excellent. What have we got lined up tonight, Angus?
Well, we've got you and me, Richard. We've always got you and me.
Exactly. Yeah, going hard, giving it heaps, which is awesome. Do you want me to fill you on the rest of the people, sort of down the pecking order?
Oh, well, you can. I can. I'm not fast. Come on, Rich. Let's hear it. Who have we got? Who have you managed to pull in for this week?
So let's go back to front. So we're going to finish off with Cushla tonight in regards to nutrition. We're going to talk specifically vitamin D, which is a bit of an interesting one. We're going to review the week's challenge that we did, which was our marathon challenge. We've got a couple of special guests for that, Alice and Nicole, and then also Coach Brett, who went hard as well and is pretty keen getting a few teams out there. But we're going to kick off right now with Andy Good. Andy, pretty excited to have Andy on the program for a couple of reasons. First of all, Andy is the world, he went to the Worlds for the mountain running champs representing New Zealand. He currently holds the record for the Luxmore grunt. That's up to the Kepler hut and then back down in a heck of a hurry and then back home again. He's won the Buller Marathon. He's pretty quick, runs a lot. Average Ks a week is about 100 to 120, he tells me, when he's going well. So, we're going to have a chat to Andy. And other thing about Andy, just as before we introduce him, well, he's also just come on board in our coaching team as well. So super stoked to have Andy on board, come on board to help us out, help our team out, help our crew out in regards from a running perspective and also that high-end running and sharing some of his knowledge. Yeah,
that's super good, isn't it, to bring another massive, great bit of coaching pool into the scheme there so that the expertise are there. Running downhill is certainly an art in its own, and I know I always find that running uphill is actually the easiest part, isn't it? Really, it's that running down that really I can't figure out how to not break my legs. So I'm hoping that Andy might be able to share some goodness tonight to tell me how to get around that. I do have Rich. I really, you know how this is a real point of interest to me and close to my heart. But first comment of the night, we're already in with the comments. So people out there watching, keep them coming. And this is a sterler. This is really close to my heart, Rich. I am so proud of you. Let's hit it. She Richard Greer.
So, no, Tasha wife was turning the lights off earlier, so no one would be able to see it. So, she was saying that there should be no positive comments around that. So that's interesting. I've got one already.
Yeah, Tash, if you're sitting there watching, the viewers love it. We might even have to have a viewer vote at some stage in a week or two come to see whether it stays or goes.
Maybe that was from her. It was her commenting, potentially. Yeah, good stuff. Should we get Andy online before we talk too much about moustaches?
Yep, let's throw Andy in the mix. Andy, come on forth. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Cheers for the intro.
Sorry about the poor banter.
Andy, we want to talk and pick your brains tonight, specifically about downhill running. Like, you go uphill really fast, but to be able to go down from the Luxmore hut back down to the start takes a whole lot of guts, but also some skill there as well around downhill running. So give us a bit of feedback, insights about how you actually do that. What are some of the key go-tos that you try and think about as you're running downhill?
Yeah, I guess there's a few. Definitely in a race situation, that's a little bit easier to make yourself get motivated to, I guess, put the body on the line. And I think that's quite a big point. Is like I think personally one of the biggest things with running downhill is just having that confidence. So it's just confidence in your body, and I guess knowing that your ankles and your knees and all of your joints are up to the task. And then also just confidence in what your brain can do, because it's really quite amazing actually when you think about it. You've just got to basically be able to trust the body in the sense that when you're running downhill, it's taking hundreds and hundreds of photographs and it's processing what's in front of you. And you've just got to kind of trust the fact that the body is going to actually put your feet where you do want to put them. I think confidence is probably the big one straight off the bat. And I know that's kind of a long-winded answer, but like if you've got a section of trail that you've run downhill lots and lots, you're probably going to be much faster on that section than, a piece of trail that you've never run on. So yeah, it's kind of like home field advantage is a massive thing with trail running. Yeah.
And the best way to build confidence, how do we do that as someone that's trying to improve their downhill running?
Yeah, so I guess obviously like anything, it's just practice makes perfect, and introducing it into the training more often, because I've definitely found that even actually just through the lockdown, I haven't been on the trails as often as normal, and even just of late, I feel sort of a bit sloppy and sluggish, but I guess you just get that skill fade. So it's just throwing yourself back out there, and I guess just kind of having a little bit of fearlessness and being prepared to, just see what happens. And try not to break.
Austin, there. What are you doing? Sorry, Jeepers. Easy on the technology, Angus.
my bad. Slip of the tongue.
Yeah, good stuff. So, I mean, that's that whole not thinking about it, isn't it? So the less you're thinking about it, and that's part of that confidence, just to go.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, there's definitely technique stuff behind it as well. But I think like the first thing really has to be your mindset, and just that you are going to let yourself go. And then I think from there you can kind of like start thinking about some technical things. For example, a good one's probably like the field of view. You know, like where you sort of want your eyes to have their focus point. And I would probably say you want that to be around sort of 10 to 20 meters away. You know, like it's like anything. If you've ever been at one of those points during a race where you find yourself kind of looking at your feet, at that point, usually you're running really slow. And it's no different running downhill, because if you're tentative and you're worried about where your feet are striking, of course you're going to run slower. So it's just kind of, I guess, lifting the chin up and not being scared to look a little bit further at the horizon than you might think is safe.
Similar to like when we talk about being on the bike, that you're sort of looking up the trail on the mountain bike and looking ahead. The minute you look at your wheel is the minute you start running everything over and getting all wayward, and you lift your head up, look ahead, and your feet will actually follow where your eyes are looking, is what you're saying? Definitely.
I've got a wee mantra that I tell myself actually, and it's usually just head up, arms up, and the head up is obviously, it speaks for itself. It kind of makes me lift my chin, and the arms up just keeps my arms driving, you know. So it's real quick, it's real sharp, and you know, it seems to help.
And as we're practicing that's all about starting with that 15 to 20 meters up, but actually starting on terrain that's not too steep. And as we get more into it, we can go more steep, but start on easier sections.
Definitely, and I mean that's going to allow the body to adapt, obviously, as well. I think throwing yourself into a really steep climb, you know, it's asking for a bit of trouble. Steep downhill, yeah.
So what about the leaning forward part? Somebody once told me that to lean forward, which is obviously probably one of the biggest psychological battles that you've got to get over.
Yeah, it's definitely hard to do, and I think again that kind of comes down to the gradient. But on like quite a gentle gradient, that's definitely what you want to be doing. And I guess like a good way to feel for that correct position could even just be to find like a gentle downhill slope and just stand there, and then essentially just put your hands at your side and let your body just kind of naturally fall forward, and from that point just start running. And just kind of get used to that, I guess, that feeling of just kind of like falling downhill. It is quite natural when you're in the right the right body position.
What about with downhill? Like you've got one person told me a number of years back, don't bother training your downhill too much, because all you're going to get out of it is injured. How do we decrease the chances of injury in regards to training some downhill? Because I mean, the impact forces are greater, aren't they, when we're going downhill?
Yeah, I think it's just being clever about where you put the downhill training in your specific program. So I think personally for myself, if it was, you know, downhill training for an event, it is quite risky. Yeah, you're right, because of the eccentric loading and the force. And I think it's just, being clever about where it might be programmed in regards to when a race may be. So like probably getting closer to race day, you know, maybe that 4 to 6 weeks out, you know, really getting the body used to that hard stimulus. But there's probably no point doing it 3 or 4 months in advance when, you're right, you might run the risk of injury and then your whole training block's out the window.
So you're naturally running up and down hills anyway, aren't you? So you get a fair bit of that anyway. But then you're saying is that actually in that time prior to race day, especially for your mountain running, which is up a hill and down a hill kind of thing really fast, you'll put an extra kind of block in there of eccentric stuff and actually really, I guess, the muscles and joints used to that.
Yeah, and it goes back to, I guess, that first thing we were talking about too. Like, it's also just a really good little, just get yourself confident. You know, you're getting close to race day. At that point, sort of start getting aggressive.
Mhm. And any other tips for in terms of downhill running, like fast feet? Is that something that we should be thinking about?
Yeah, definitely. And again, I guess the steeper the gradient, the faster we want our feet to be, just because really what it does is it gives us more ground contact. And obviously, if both of our feet are on the ground, we're going to be more stable. So having really short, sharp cadence is going to give us more confidence in that sense. And also, with a really long stride, if something does go wrong, it can be a pretty catastrophic. So from a safety standpoint, shorter cadence is a good approach. That's probably a really good point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, nice, good stuff. And Andy, you've I guess anything else to add in regards to downhill running? Anything else that we should train or think about?
We could have almost started here, like using it as a foundation, but I think actually footwear is massive as well. And it would just be because, there are so many amazing shoes out there nowadays and so many options. But, I guess even from a safety standpoint, personally, if I'm doing an event where there's a lot of downhill races, like I want to be using a shoe that's quite low profile and it's got that, I guess, ground feel. If you see a stone, you can actually hit it with your foot and feel that stone. Like I don't want to be racing in pillows where I don't even know if I actually stepped where I thought I stepped. So, there's a time and a place for big cushions and things that are going to propel you off the ground. But I think personally on the mountains, I quite like to be able to feel what I'm running over. Yeah.
Mm. And what about just obviously the fatigue that comes out of downhill running and sort of, I guess, the muscle damage? Quite often, if you're not obviously running downhill properly, you get a lot of quad damage and those sort of things. As a basic strength exercise, have you got any like one or two really good strength exercise that can help prepare that?
Yeah, I feel like I'm always doing single-legged squats, mate. So they're good. Yeah, and I guess once you get used to the old single-legged squat, just stepping onto something a little bit unstable, like you can do it anywhere. You can step on a cushion off the couch, or if you've got a wobble board, that's fantastic. But just because at the same time you're getting the ankle stability, which is probably more relevant to trail running where you're on an unnatural surface.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Rich?
Yeah, no, I think that's good for me. I think that sums it up really well. Anything else to add, Andy?
No, I think we've pretty much covered the points. Yeah, talking as fast as we can.
No, you've done really well. Yeah, so it's awesome to have you on board from a coaching perspective. And just jumping into that for a second, like, what are you most looking forward to? You've been coaching for a while now, and also as an athlete, running around and sort of plying your trade and learning lots as you do. So, what are you most looking forward to in terms of from a coaching perspective?
Just helping people grow and achieve their goals. I think it's a really cool thing, and I haven't really thrown myself out there as a coach and put it out there for lots and lots of people. But yeah, I love helping people get towards their goals, and I feel like I've got quite a good system of probably just helping people get organised and realising their own potential. So just meeting some new people as well. That's always cool, and people who are passionate about what I'm passionate about. So yeah, as you can probably tell, I could talk about this stuff for hours.
And what's your one sort of key tip from someone that's looking to try and do their best trail run like now? And hey, we don't know when events are going to be, but down the track, maybe springtime. Thinking about now, what would be your one key tip from a coaching perspective to see how well they could go? Putting on the spot.
Every run's got to have a purpose. So even if it's a trail run, it doesn't mean you need to run on the trails 6 days a week.
Yep, perfect. Yeah, good. And so understanding it why, and if athletes understand that, then they'll go and do a better job of that. So it doesn't all need to be hard. It doesn't all need to be full on, etc. But if we know why, then we're going to do it better.
Exactly. Geez, you put me on the spot there.
yeah, brilliant. Well done, Andy.
Just looking at the comments coming through, Andy, there's a few people here specifically saying thank you for the tips tonight already, which probably leads me to think that we've probably got a few more of these episodes to go here. There's quite an audience by the sounds of people interested in this, but also potentially I'd say prepare yourself because your coaching calendar looks like it could take off.
Sweet as. That's cool. It's good to be on board, and cheers for the chat, guys.
Yeah, well done, Andy. Look after yourself. And what are you training for just before you leave?
Well, I did get an email the other day from Cushla Challenge. So this year, mate, I'm hoping it's going to happen. I'll be throwing my name in the ballot, and yep. So it's not until December, but definitely training for that. And who knows what comes in between. Hopefully a little bit of winter cross-country season if the doors open up on things.
Yeah, nice.
Brilliant. Cool.
Nice.
Well, look forward to following your journey and getting those running Ks up for Cushla.
Yep. Cheers.
Good work. Well done. Cheers, Andy.
Thanks, Andy. See you on the trail.
Good job.
Oh, well.
Are you going to go and run some downhill this weekend now?
Oh, well, I've got to run uphill first. And I did say that to you the other day, Richard, that all this running that I've foolishly been doing again, that maybe one day shortly I better start actually running back up the hill again, and which only can mean come down. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where it gets fun, isn't it? When we start doing adventures up the hills and around the place and start exploring. And hey, you're right into your mountain biking. Enjoy that. That's probably your first go-to up the hills, but you can go different places when you're running as well, can't you? And explore a bit more in different areas. So that variety is pretty cool.
I think no doubt. And, like we said, the last few weeks, I've certainly done since this lockdown, got my running shoes back on and done some running. And one thing I used to really enjoy when I was multi-sporting and doing all those things was trail running in the hills. I really, really used to love the freedom of running up in the hills and running on a trail. And I think wintertime, so if you're out there, people, and you're thinking about it, wintertime is always a great time to go running. It's so much less admin. It's just pull a jacket, pull a jersey on or something, put some running shoes on and out the door. There's no worrying about lights for the bike and 3,000 layers to keep you warm and cleaning the thing down afterwards. It's running is actually, if your knees and legs are up to it, a really good winter thing, I find.
Yeah, no, totally. And it's, as I say, good variety and good for your biking as well. Mix it up, move your body differently.
So they say. That'll be yet to be seen. So the week that was, Richard.
Yeah. Hey, we had a big weekend. What about these challenges of sort of every kind of Saturday, Sunday, Monday, kind of sussing out what we're going to do next, and it's sort of like putting it out there. And I mean, sometimes they fly, and so, I mean, actually gone pretty well overall. But this week we sort of did something a wee bit different with the lockdown, kind of opening up a little bit, people being able to get out in the trails and do a little bit more. So we had our marathon challenge, and we put it out there to say, can you run a marathon as a team? Get someone else involved that across bubbles, but virtually, running a marathon, which is 42 Ks, or riding your mountain bike, which is 100 Ks collectively as a team, or riding your road bike, which I decided was 180 Ks. So put it out there. And then just as a whim, I said, we'll head the family hybrid, so run and bike and kind of get the whole family together. And then throw it out there, because people are crazy, let's see if people can do all of it. And it was incredible how many people come back and actually did all of it. That was the thing. But a couple of guests that we've got sitting in the wings there, Angus. Who we got?
Well, we do. We've got a collection of fine athletes. And I just quickly there, these challenges have been, I was just talking to somebody in the weekend about these challenges and how, we've got lots of the same people. In fact, we must go back and look through who's actually done every single challenge, because there's definitely some people that have done every single challenge.
Maybe we do a bit of shout out and they can come to us if they've done every one of them. That would save.
Well, that's okay. That's a good idea. If you've done every challenge so far, then let us know, because you might be our next Wednesday night star.
Maybe we'll come up with that. No, we'll give them a prize if they come up, because otherwise no one will say anything.
That is the prize. Sharing the stage with us, Richard, is definitely the prize. But how each week there's a whole lot of new people just keep popping up, and obviously some challenges have suited some people and certainly been good. So tonight, should we start with a man who has had his hand in quite a few things in the weekend? One of your coaches, Richard. Should we welcome in here, if I can find a bit of technology here, should we welcome Brett in? Brett, good evening.
Good day, team. How are you doing?
Yeah, good, Brett. Good, Brett. First of all, well done on the moustache. It's a good...
yeah, thanks. It's been... I'm following your lead there, Rich, and Angus, actually, but I think Angus is just on the podium, and we're sort of left in the dust somewhere, but
that's right. Well, anyway. I'll still call it top 3 today.
Well, to be honest, and we are digressing here, but to be honest, I didn't expect Richard to grow a full thing. I thought it would be a light thing. Every time we go to an event, he likes to try and compare himself and try and make sure he gets on the women's podium. That's normally his main goal at an event, is to make sure he makes the women's podium. So I guess if he's going for that same theory in the mustache growing thing, we can't expect too much, can we?
Yeah, I think we'll move along.
We shouldn't, hopefully.
I think you're more in the David Boone sort of a league there, Angus.
Yeah. You know what they said about Merv Hughes, didn't you? Don't you?
Brett, give us a bit of a rundown of the weekend in terms of what you got up to, and you organised a whole bunch of people. Had a couple of teams organised.
Yeah, I did. So first off, well done on what you're doing here, guys, and well done on the challenges too. You know, it's really exciting to have sort of a few bits and pieces to look at, and the variety. You know, we're in lockdown, so nothing's quite the same as what it was, and to have these sort of different challenges popping up and different ways to, to get motivated. So that's what we did really. I've got a team of 6 of us at work, and we're all working from home at the moment. So that challenge of doing a relay, was a real easy one, and I didn't have to sell it too hard. We've got a pretty adventurous crew at work, and everybody just sort of volunteered to do a leg, and it worked itself out. And it's just a really nice excuse to get in the hills. And for us, even though that one was about distance, I think most of us managed to get in the hills in some way or another to make it work anyway. So. Good excuse, and keep them coming.
Yeah, brilliant.
So how many of the events did your teams do? Did you do one particular, or did you do all of them, or?
Yeah, so we did the mountain bike and the run on the Saturday, and we sort of managed to work it out pretty well. A couple of us crossed over and did more than one. I think I'd just come back from my run, and then I was just going out, due to go straight out the door on the mountain bike. So I kind of had a bit of food halfway to my mouth, and then I got the text, "You're out the door." So I'm into it again. But that was good. Sandra did a loop out at New Brighton, and then Abram did a ride across the hills here, and then I was into the hills as well. And similarly with the run, it was in the hills. I think Phil was out as far as almost the Bellbird to get us going, and then Lisa did a lap around the park, and then I did a flatlander actually, which I don't normally like. I normally like the hills myself, but I thought I'd go and explore a river trail, and unfortunately my navigation ended me up in an industrial park in Christchurch. So it wasn't, given that I normally chase scenery with my runs and bikes, it wasn't one of my best efforts.
There'll be some people sniggering on the Sunday group ride that you've come up with that. That's pretty funny. This weekend we've got an Everest challenge. So what this is about, so it's similar sort of scenario, but because people got so keen last week and kind of just did it all, I decided to actually, let's put the Everest thing on the cards. Can you collectively, as a team, ride the same 8,848 vertical meters of Everest over the course of a weekend? So I was in a team of 3 guys. One was in Melbourne, one was in the UK, and we ticked off last weekend's. But this weekend, 8,848 vertical meters is a lot. So I've basically said to those guys, find a friend and let's sort of spread it out a little bit. What's your plan? Do you have 2 3-person teams? What's your plan for this weekend?
Well, I think we'll combine. So that'll give us a total of 5, 6.
Yep.
So that'll be quite good numbers. And I was actually talking to one of our guides today too, and he's a keen cyclist as well. And I sort of give him a bit of a slight shoulder tap as well. So I think that's the key, is just make it fun and get lots of people involved, really, because it is a big number. And you can obviously, if you can, you can really go hard. And obviously, there's people like Andrew who could do the whole thing themselves if they wanted to. But it's I think ticking off 1,000 meters or 1,500 meters is kind of manageable for most people, and a really nice challenge.
So, you got any tips about riding uphill? And also, like, the best and most efficient way is about doing hill reps and things, and it can be a bit tough and hard and bit tough mentally as well. What are some tips you give people in terms of riding uphill and doing some vertical meters?
I think it's about enjoying it, really. It's and the bonus with hills is that there is a top, and so there's views, and there's also a descent to come after that. So it's a really nice reward. But I think on hills, it's about finding your happy place. If you can choose your hills, find a gradient that you like. Some hills have got easier gradients, and if you're maybe newer to hills, then find something a little bit more gentler. If you've been biking for a bit, then just chuck yourself at whatever you can find and make it a real challenge that way. but yeah, I think spinning away is the way to get a good cadence going, and that way you can kind of go up and down and maybe do it a few times if that's what it takes.
Yeah, cool. And one thing I like to sort of do myself and share is often when we're in the hurt locker and we don't want to be there anymore and it's a bit tough, is just to be patient and just set little goals, but just be patient, and you get there in the end, don't you? Some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes you can be in the moment, and sometimes you can be out of the moment and visiting somewhere else, and just off in dream world. Really, it's a bit like you do when you're running, and you can do that when you're biking too, and just and before you know it, you might have bagged another 100 meters or so before you sort of come to it again. But I think that's the way. It's sort of mixing it up and enjoying what you're doing, but also giving yourself the chance to just sometimes just settle in, and and the good thing is, like you said, is that there is a top, and you will get there, and once you get there, then it's fun times until the next one if you're going up again.
Perfect.
Yeah, I think just sort of like what Richard said, sometimes like if we use Dyer's Road for instance or something like that, just about picking a corner and looking one or two corners ahead and going, okay, I'm just going to ride to that corner now, and that's my goal. I'm just riding to that, and then you're there, and then you just reset that, and 4 or 5 of those and you're at the top type sort of thing. The other thing I used to use occasionally was, if you know the hill relatively well, or roughly how long it's going to take you, and you happen to have an iPod or something playing in your ear, that it's 3 songs or it's 4 songs or it's 5 songs, and just play away on the songs in your head, and when you start ticking the new song off that you've taken another chunk, and
yeah,
awesome.
Exactly. And if you like Rich, you can maybe burst into your own song as well. That can kind of
it depends how much you're puffing.
Happy around you as well.
I think, Angus, you were the troublemaker in the song front last time we rode bikes.
It's enough storytelling. This isn't stories with bloody Rick,
Yeah, do we move on?
Yeah, we should move on now. Just quickly, while we're talking about that, because we will talk about it, or we're talking about it now or later, but not to confuse this weekend's challenge of climbing Everest as a team with the other Everest challenge that we've got running in conjunction there, Richard, that over the month of May as an individual. So if you are looking to do the month of May as an individual, this is a really good head start. This weekend will give you some really good base meters into that.
Totally. Yep, absolutely. So that, so we've kind of got 2 things. So exactly. So how many meters can you do across the course of May itself? And then what can you get done collectively? Pull a few people in, share the adventure this weekend.
Yep. Perfect.
Hey, just on that note, guys, that Everest challenge, that 8848, that was something, as you probably know, set up by the Himalayan Trust. And they do some really cool work in Nepal. So if you've got a gold coin or something and you're doing the challenge, you want to take the challenge on, then flick them a bit of a coin, and that money goes a long way.
Perfect.
Nice.
Yeah, good work, Brett. And we'll put a link into that as well. That's great. Well said.
So just quickly, we've got to keep moving, Brett. We've got 2 other fabulous guests sitting there in the wing. How many meters are you putting on the board this weekend yourself?
Oh, maybe a lazy 2.
A lazy 2?
2,000.
We'll see how we go.
Good. We'll check. We'll be checking in the weekend to see what the results say.
Good job. Well done, Brett.
I can talk into it. So go well, team. Keep it up.
Cool. Good stuff.
Thanks, Brett. Yeah.
Good on.
All right. So that was Brett, and he had a multitude of people going on there, and like we say, he's one of the CP coaches. So always great to catch up and get a good depth insight there. But our next 2 lovely ladies really put on, had a bit of fun in the weekend. So shall we bring Alice and Nicole in?
Yeah, throw them in there.
Fire them in. I hope they don't mind in which order they turn up here. But Alice, you're going to be the team captain, and here you are. Nicole,
So first of all, want to congratulate you guys on the weekend. You went hard, 2-person, and you did the whole lot together as a team. And really love the way that you on Instagram, it's kept popping up actually, and sharing your tag teaming kind of thing and what you're doing across the course of the weekend. So it was really cool. So thanks for sharing, and well done for getting into it.
Yeah, thanks for the challenge. Really, it's definitely I guess. We sort of both talked to each other on the Friday night, and we sort of thought, well, we've got nothing else planned for the weekend, so why not? So it's been great in lockdown actually, just to go out and try and do some adventures, especially in that level 3 zone.
Perfect. And you went out and ran Hagley Park, and obviously you're in different bubbles, so quite fun watching your videos going, oh, there she is, just gone.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And I think because we didn't know when we were going to first see each other either, so it was just it was actually quite motivating in a way.
Yep,
No, certainly. And yeah, being in different bubbles but in similar areas definitely made it easier that way to sort of pick a location and meet halfway.
Perfect.
So your total time for the day. So what do we do first? We ran and then we mountain biked?
Yeah.
And then we had to put some lights on for the road bike?
Yeah, well, initially the plan, I think, was actually to do the road bike on the Sunday. And certainly when we had a bit of a headwind at the end of the mountain bike, we were like, yep, definitely road bike on Sunday. But then when we got to the finish, we thought, nah, the thought of being sore and getting out and getting on the road bike on Sunday, was a little bit more, it was motivating essentially really to get on the road bike and get it all done in the one day.
Yeah, good stuff. That's good. So you both knew that. We had Amanda from Coffee Culture. I heard her comments come up that she didn't actually tell her team that was an option to do it over 2 days. But you guys were totally aware of what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah. And the funny thing was just the mindset change. Like we were definitely not doing it all on one day on that end bike ride. And then as soon as we hit Memorial or whatever, it was like, yeah, no, okay, it's possible again. We'll do it.
Yeah, awesome. What was the highlight for you across the challenge?
I think for me, the running side of it, because I haven't been doing a heck of a lot of Ks in that area. So to get that ticked off first was actually probably the real win of the day. And then I just knew that with the biking, it's just, it was just a matter of spinning and getting that job done. But yeah, what about you, Cole?
I think for me, probably the fact that being in lockdown for a while, I'd sort of missed, I'd been biking on the same streets round and round again. So being able to actually get around Christchurch and see a bit more was certainly a highlight, and being able to get out there again.
Perfect.
And
Good
so
stuff.
just quickly, because not everybody can just like make a phone call at night and go, hey, how about we do this tomorrow, and we tick all three off. So you girls, just a quick background, you've obviously done a fair bit and done a bit together.
Yeah, so we've obviously been family friends since way back, and I guess over the last 2 years we've really kind of hit that adventure racing sort of multi-sport scene, and we sort of started with the spring challenge events, and then have recently done the last 2 coast to coast as a tandem.
Nice.
So yeah, we've had a lot of adventures together. And a lot of our trainings do end up with just a phone call saying, what are we doing tomorrow?
Perfect. And they're always the best adventures, those ones that are just last minute decisions. So Nicole, what's the next for you two? Apart from this weekend's Everest challenge between the two.
This weekend, well, funny enough, we straight away said that we were going to get some friends on board, but then we were just doing some cheeky calculations, and 15 times each up to the Kiwi could be a goer, but we'll see. I think there might be some reinforcements for this weekend, but otherwise, hopeful that we've got spring challenge in September. If all goes well. Otherwise, we both play hockey in winter, so when the hockey season gets up and running, that'll keep us going through, and then bring on the events in probably spring and summertime.
Good job. Well done, team. That's awesome.
Good.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for completing the challenges, for your video updates, for all of the good banter you provided everybody out there. That's exactly what this is all about, the community-based activities and people participating and sharing what they're up to. It's absolutely worth a treat, and we all appreciate everything you gave us on the weekend, and we're all hanging on the edge of our seats to see all the updates this weekend.
Brilliant. Oh, thanks for putting up the challenge. It's awesome.
Yeah, and the social media is right up our alley. We love that stuff.
Yeah, give it heaps. Go
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So yeah.
Good job.
Totally good, Rich. Now, we probably just quickly to everybody out there that did do it over the weekend, and there is a long distinguished list and some real contenders.
What are some highlights? Yeah, so talk us through a few highlights of key contenders, etc. Results from the weekend.
Well, there was quite a few obviously that did the whole lot, which was actually there was more people did the whole lot than I expected within their teams. A couple of highlights. Jake's team, Crossing Peaks, their marathon time, they've got their marathon time down as hours 33 minutes. Now I know they were having a wee sprintathon there, so that's a pretty
average was like 3 minutes 40 per k, I think, or something like that. They're just round and round as giving it death. So well done.
So that was pretty impressive. Sally Wright. Now, Sally, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I've got you down in 2 teams.
Yes. And the team manager, I think, also, to be honest.
Team manager, 2 teams, right, completed them all. But it's your second team, the Bounty Hunters, that interests me the most. And, man, you've pulled off a biggie here. And our friend Bo Miles, who was on the show just a couple of weeks ago, somehow in Australia, you managed to rope him and his wife into competing.
Exactly. No, that's awesome, isn't it? And posted a video, got involved. His wife tag team out the door she went, and awesome, isn't it? So I've challenged Sally to come up with David Hasselhoff this weekend as part of her team. So we'll see how that goes.
Oh, gold. So Sally, that's massive. Big ups to you. Also, just a quick shout out for Bo. If you haven't been on YouTube, onto his YouTube channel to see the Beans documentary. Totally recommend it. Look up Bo Miles on YouTube, and I just can't actually think what it was called now, but it's an absolute stellar watch where he eats beans, his body weight in beans, and it's brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. So any other key highlights from last weekend?
What have we got through here? Oh, team names. Now
that's the one I really want to know about.
So what one did you want to know about? The 2 fit fannies, Richard? Is that where you were heading with this?
The first one that comes to mind, but what's your winning team name?
So there was a few team names: 6 keys, 1 bowl, 1 team. I think there's actually a single word that starts with.
That's it. Like all those people put their as part of our little description, put your keys in the bowl and who's going to find a team effectively. So I was going through them. It was 6 people that said, find me a team, put them all together. These guys are amazing. They I was part of the messenger sort of chat group they had going on. Nick jumped in. He had spreadsheets going on and all sorts. You do this, you do that kind of thing, and did super well across the whole weekend. So look out for them next weekend. Might be my pick for next weekend.
Right. I think they could probably shorten their team name if they wanted. There's probably a single word that starts with O that would actually simplify that whole thing. But anyhow, moving on. Probably my pick of the team names, though, is the Itsy Bitsy Teeny Weeny Get Me Out of Quarantini.
That's very good. Yeah, there we go. We've got a winner there. Well done.
And I just have to make an announcement quickly. There will be no presenter's choice tonight. I thought after last week's custard square that my doorstep would have been full of custard squares and cream buns and all sorts of bribery things there for me to pick, but not a thing sitting on the doorstep. So
that's empty as well.
There's no presenter's choice.
No, that's right. Well, let's carry on because we're speaking of food to Cushla Holdaway, a resident dietitian. Awesome to have Cushla involved with us and spreading a whole bunch of knowledge and sharing her ideas around nutrition. It's been really cool working alongside her with the people I'm coaching and supporting athletes from a nutrition standpoint as well. But tonight we're going to talk about vitamin D. And specifically, and why it's unique, and why do we want to know about it? So, is Cushla waiting in the wings? I'm hoping she is.
Kushla, hopefully, is in her corner.
Hello, I am here in my corner.
Beautiful. Hello, welcome back.
How you doing, Kushla?
I'm good. How are you guys going?
Yeah, no, really well, thanks. Really well. So, tell us a bit about vitamin D. Why do we need to know about it?
Well, it's very essential. And the unique thing about vitamin D is it's not actually a vitamin, although its name would imply that. It's actually considered a pro-hormone and a nutrient. And it's very unique with the fact we can actually get it entirely not from the diet. So we obviously get it from the sun. So that's very unique compared to the other vitamins. And vitamin D is really important for our bone health. So it's really involved in our bone metabolism, and it's also involved in immunity, gene expression, and also has roles in the brain and the central nervous system as well. So yeah, it's very essential.
So my key question around that is a bit about like from the sun, obviously, and sun cream and that sort of stuff. And New Zealand sun and summers are hot, and when you're out riding your bike, you want to bathe yourself in the stuff. How does that affect? Is there any sort of effect on that in regards to vitamin D and getting it synthesized in their body?
Yeah, such a good question. So vitamin D, it comes, but the UVB rays from the sun, when they hit our skin, they technically lead to a conversion of a precursor. And then that has to go via our liver and then via our kidneys, and then it's finally the active form of vitamin D. So if we're applying sunscreen with a greater SPF than 8, which isn't that much, it starts to block some of that UVB. However, not many of us would apply heavy sunscreen use every single day on every single inch of our body. So there's likely casual sun exposure all the time happening, even in winter time, in summer. So we still will always get a little bit. So the impact of sunscreen likely isn't enough to lead to like a vitamin D deficiency.
During winter, like you talk about sort of sitting in the sun, having your lunch and things to be able to get that. If you're not getting enough vitamin D, how do you feel? What are some of the sort of, I guess, results of not getting enough?
Well, younger people, so less than 50 years old, we can sort of store enough vitamin D for about 6 months. So if we have adequate supplies before winter, we may be lucky enough to make it through if we're not getting enough throughout winter. However, older people are a bit more at risk. But to get enough vitamin D in winter in New Zealand, we're a long way away from the sun. Ideally, the recommendation is to try and get outside around noon when the sun is at its strongest and go for like a half an hour walk or do your exercise then with at least about 15% of your skin exposed. So that might be like your face, arms or your legs, going for a run or something. And then that should give you just enough vitamin D.
Mm-hmm. And what happens if we don't have enough?
Yes, sorry, I was coming to that. Deficiency, it's quite serious. So as vitamin D is really involved in our bone health, deficiency in children can lead to rickets. So the classic image of that is, the kids with the bowed legs because their bones are so soft. And in adults, it can lead to poor bone mineralization and eventually osteoporosis. And that means basically really frail, porous bones that break easily.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, cool, good stuff. So, so it is just about, I guess, just managing that sun amount and exposure to the sun, and just being aware of it. Really, from a dietitian's perspective, is there anything else that we should be knowing about it, and how to kind of manage that?
Yeah, so although the sun is the main source and the easiest source, we do actually get little amounts in the food, but it's a minor contribution. So foods that naturally contain vitamin D include your oily fish, which, are an awesome source of healthy fats anyway. So things like salmon, tuna, mackerel, and herring. And also liver, beef liver contains some vitamin D, fortified foods, so a lot of our milks and yogurts have it fortified, some breakfast cereals, and there's actually really exciting recent evidence how amazing eggs are for vitamin D. So originally we didn't actually know they were so good, but now they actually, 2 whole eggs, so the yolks included, can give you about 82% of your needs for vitamin D.
There we go. Some extra breakfast in the morning. Angus is just writing that down in the background, I'm sure of that.
Yeah. And as dietitians, of course, there's supplements as well, but for the general healthy population with no underlying health conditions, we always say food first. Like if there's no need for supplements, you don't need to. And if you're going for food first and you're reaching for eggs, you're getting all those other nutrients in the egg plus the vitamin D instead of a supplement that gives you one single thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, brilliant. Cool. Good stuff. Anything else I need to know in regards to vitamin D?
I guess it'd be good to discuss who's at risk of deficiency.
Yeah, sure. Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
So obviously being Kiwis here in New Zealand, we're at a lower latitude, further away from the sun, particularly in winter. There's something called the solar zenith angle. So did I just see an animal?
Yes, just a cat. Sorry about it. You might probably come back. Sorry about that.
So yeah, we're tilted further away from the sun and there's more, I guess, atmospheric interference happening with that as well. So that's why you need to go out in noon. So naturally in winter rates of deficiency are higher and in summer rates of deficiency are lower. People who wear lots of clothing, so obviously in winter we rug up because it's freezing, which obviously we're showing less skin to the sun, but also people who may be near the equator but for religious reasons wear a lot of clothing, they're more at risk. people with dark skin, so melatonin in the skin reduces the UVB absorption, so they're more at risk. People who have had a risk of skin cancer may be really protective of their skin and want to cover up all the time. So it's recommended that they actually are always really protective of their skin. People who are on photosensitive medications, such as things like Accutane, who need to avoid the sunlight, need to be really careful. And of course, anything that affects those organs I discussed involved in the conversion, so your liver and your kidney. So people on hemodialysis with kidney failure, of course, their kidneys are probably not converting vitamin D as well as someone who's healthy.
Yeah, perfect. Nice.
I'm almost thinking the question was who isn't. Not who is. The list is long.
I mean, that's at risk. So yeah, and we can store a little bit in our bodies, but you can get little bits from your diet and making sure you're getting a little bit of safe sun exposure, and you should be okay. But yeah, in winter time in New Zealand, we are quite south. We do need to be aware of it. And I guess from an athletic perspective, there's a bit more research happening because deficiency may be associated with muscle weakness, which can impact performance. But yeah, there's a bit more evidence needed in that area. But exciting.
Yeah, perfect. Good stuff, Cushla. Nice work. Love your insight and love your knowledge and love your sort of always learn something when we talk to you. Next week we're going to talk about ultra running. So really looking forward to hearing your a bit of insight around, because food and fueling our body over a length of time. I'm really interested to hear your thoughts on that one. So that should be good.
Awesome.
So again, people out there that are watching, we'll put a link up for, like we have for this week, for the link to tonight's show for next week. Feel free throughout the week to start making some comments in there to that link if you want. If you've got any questions for Cushla, obviously next week we're talking ultra running. We're talking about how to look after the body over a long distance and do all those sort of things. So specifically things related to that. But if you have anything else that you want Cushla to ask or answer or anything, please feel free to drop us a line.
Perfect. Well done, Cushla. Thanks for your time.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Cool.
Thanks, Cushla.
See ya. Bye.
Yeah.
How good.
Perfect. That's it.
Yeah, so
Richard.
That's good fun, eh? We only had one sort of cat interlude there, and our technology went all pretty well. Hey, we're learning.
Well, I do have to make an apology that if you were trying to tune in on the main CP page, you can hopefully you're now watching this post. For some reason, it hasn't gone live to there. But for all of you people that have been on our community page, thank you very much. And I'm not sure if you're watching, Luds, but I've got a shout out to you. Outstanding May the 4th performance. I know he was spotted in two places with his Darth Vader gear on and his megaphone playing.
Have we got a photo back there, just on the off chance?
No, because I had technical difficulties this afternoon, so I haven't. But Luds, mate, huge shout out to you. Absolute stellar. You were in I don't know whether it was a good thing or a bad thing that you were in your CP gear out there parading. Spotted at the TyTap store with the video that was put up. I also know that he was spotted at New World Horswell parading the car park there. So well done, lads. Top effort.
Yeah, May the 4th be with you.
Yeah. Don't forget about the Revenge of the 5th, though. It always comes the day after.
Yeah, brilliant. Good stuff. Well done, Angus. Well done tonight. Looking forward to next week and our ultra running plan across the evening. So we've got some really good guests that we're going to talk to. We're going to talk nutrition, obviously, and we'll let you know who we're talking to in the coming days.
Well, on the quiet, I'm kind of interested to next week's. Just to listen, Richard. I'm quietly interested.
Yeah, look out. Yeah, you've been dismissing this running thing, but it's slowly taking over. So be careful. Just be careful.
Yeah. My poor bikes will be having complexions out there. Just quickly wrap up this weekend. Obviously, as a team, we want you to tick off in any shape, form you can run, bike, rollerblade. Might be a bit tricky, but we want you to tick off 8,848 meters, the height of Everest, as a team, as a collective. you can also use your share of those meters gained for the month of May's Everest Challenge, where as an individual, we're looking for you to tick off the highest peak you possibly can as an individual.
Perfect. And as that team, whatever your team was, hey, maybe go out and pull a friend in, sort of add that in. So in our team, we've got we're up to 6 people. So yeah, share it around, make it doable, get everybody involved. Hey, everything kind of counts to the team total. So have some fun and look forward to sharing your adventures. And another wee thing that Alice and Nicole did super well is that they put it up and this is for the technically advanced, as a Facebook or Instagram story to say this is what we're up to, kind of thing. And those come through to us, so we can share those, and everybody else can see those little bits as well as you go. So if you can do that, I think that's really exciting.
Correct. When you're on your Insta story or your Facebook story, tag us in, tag Team CP in, and we will share you across a wide range of people as everybody's interested. So, so phone a friend and lock it in, Eddie. Let's go find some meters.
Yeah, good stuff. Well done, Angus. Well done tonight. And well done, everybody, on all the awesome things you do. Till next week. Yep, absolutely. Pleasure's been yours as always, Richard. Can't wait till next week. Same time, same bat channel. See you then. Yep, well done. Thanks, team.